And welcome back to End Zone Focus, where we're joined by a judge specialising in youth issues. That's Judge Tony Fitzgerald. I saw a phrase that you used called therapeutic justice. So that sounds like one stage on from restorative justice.
Yeah, therapeutic justice is it's slightly different to restorative justice. I talked earlier about the birth of the drug courts in America and the way in which that type of approach has spread throughout the Western world, and the title given to the approach of those courts is therapeutic justice. It's where the court has a role in overseeing the provision of therapy to people who are coming to it to address the underlying causes. I think it's important to say it's not the court getting involved in the therapy, and it's not the court solving the problems. The two key things I think the court does is firstly provide the opportunity, because it has people coming before it for offending, and the opportunity to assess the things that might be leading to that offending. Second thing it does is the court can lend its authority to overseeing the therapy that's required to address those underlying causes. And I guess there's two levels to that. One, it's providing a mechanism for ensuring that delivery of professional services is happening, but it's also that other aspect, which is the court overseeing and encouraging the person's participation in the program that will address their underlying causes of offending.
There will be those, though, won't there, who will say that this is a soft option for offenders. They'll get away with stuff because they're being treated with therapy and with kindness when they actually should be given a short, sharp shock.
Yeah, well, I don't think anyone who's in the IMG would say that. And in fact, no, it's fair to say the program runs for longer and involves much more scrutiny on all of the program being carried out, and so that the alternatives would be a softer option. There wouldn't be the level of scrutiny to make sure that reparations being paid, that community work's being done, that appointments are being kept. And because at the moment a lot of the orders that are available to deal with quite serious offending in the youth court are of quite short length, I think a lot of the young people would see those as the soft option, because they could take one of the top end orders on and be out of the process within 3 to 6 months. A typical length of time in the IMG approach would be 9 to 12 months, so it's not the soft option.
How do they react, though? Because I can imagine that I mean, I'm sitting, like you say, a couple of metres away from you. I can imagine that for a young person who's in trouble, being that close to a judge who is concentrating on them could be quite intimidating. How do they react?
That's a good question, and the approach is pretty consistent amongst all the young people. When I first meet them, there wouldn't be much engagement at all, and that's typical of most of the young people who come into court. They'll be nervous, they just don't really communicate at all. I may get little more than the raise of an eyebrow or a nod, but over time that changes quite significantly, and it's reasonably common that even the most quiet, reticent young person at the start will come in after they've been involved for a while with a greeting and even initiate the conversation. And that's one of the features, I think, of the process, that they do grow in a confidence that makes them feel able, and I think even comfortable, to come in and talk, own up to what they haven't done. That's usually one of the first things I'll ask: what's happened over the last couple of weeks? Part of the agreement we have at the outset is that they're going to be honest and front up them, and as I say, they often will come in and tell me both the good and the bad news. So that's one of the features really of the approach, that the normal lack of communication at the start disappears after a while, and often at graduation these young people are different in a whole lot of ways. So their attitude, their and by that I mean pro-social attitude, their confidence, and their plans for the future have all changed. In fact, if I could just say, of the last 4 graduates of this court, keeping in mind that all the young people who get involved come in state dependent and usually in a pretty poor situation in life, of the last 4 graduates, 3 are in paid employment. The other one was in a course, and that's something you can see in them. The change isn't just in their situation, but in their whole bearing.
We'll take another break and be back in a couple of minutes with our guest, Judge Tony Fitzgerald.